Hello, everyone, and welcome to Maya Dynamics with your instructor, Mr. Paul Campbell. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Jason, greetings. Welcome to week 3.
And also joining us today, the lovely Nina Covington.
Hello.
And myself, though I'll be probably quieter than normal. I say that, but who knows. As I'm firing off one cylinder at the moment because I'm dealing with like an hour and a half of sleep because I've been working on our new programming classes all night long. So with that, let me go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Campbell.
All right, excellent. Well, today we're going to be, of course, continuing our topic of dynamics, and we're going to start with doing a comparison of sort of the legacy dynamics, the old dynamics that we've had in the past, and compare that to new dynamics, which is the N dynamics using the nucleus system. So let's just dive right in. So if everyone has a version of Maya up and ready to go, we're going to first start off with just modeling a floor for a ground plane and start modeling some bricks up real quick, and then we'll do a brick simulation, and let's just dive in. So off we go with making a quick floor plane. And while we're putting this together, I did want to introduce you or point out, so somewhere 2008, 2009, something like that, Autodesk hired this fellow, see if we can get his thumbnail visible, named Duncan, to come work for them, and he is who is responsible for the whole entire nucleus system, and that they've even added to the nucleus system from 2012 to 2013, he added in-hair. So that's the system that Duncan has created is just continuing to grow and expand and handle more and more dynamics. And if you just Google Duncan Autodesk, you'll see his blog that comes up, and he's got lots of cool stuff going on there. All right. So I'm going to quickly model a brick. Make it a little thinner. Go into front view. I'll just start duplicating this guy like crazy. All right. So we're looking to do somewhere around, 30 to 60 bricks. And then if we'll take our whole row and duplicate that, slide it up and over. Grab them all, duplicate them again.
That duplicating saves a lot of time.
Oh yes, definitely. And we'll do one more, just for fun. Okay. So now we have a brick wall. It's kind of big. And I'll make a floor to match it. Okay, so if you are caught up to the, keep working if you're not caught up. Don't continue on this through these steps. Let me save my scene. This will be called pre-dynamics. Okay, so yeah, again, don't do these following steps. I'm just going to show you, we're going to do a comparison with the old rigid body to the new nucleus system. So if we were using our old rigid body dynamics, and again, don't do these steps, well, I'll go to regular dynamics, select the floor, make that a passive rigid body.
And let me just say real quick to Vincent, I just wanted to say, he says, oh, great, now he tells me, no. You were supposed to make the wall and everything. Just don't follow along utilizing the old dynamics engine. He just wants to make a comparison.
Exactly. Thank you for clarifying, Jason, for watching BuzzNet for me. Excellent. Okay, so now if I select my bricks and go back to create active rigid body, all of those are now rigid bodies. Got my frame count set to 500, a reasonable number. You just rewind and push play and watch how not speedy. And this will move. Actually, let me slide it up just a smidge so the bottom's not intersecting. Okay. So when I push play, why is it not moving? Because we don't have.
Did we have a gravity?
So let's add a little. We will add our gravity fields. Gravity. And play again. 1, 2, 3. And notice they all drop, and then it just comes to a halt. It's just urging. It's just dying. Please, Mama, make it stop. I can't handle it. All right. All right. So we're gonna. So this is just comparing our old Dynamics engine with our new one. So let's see if I can get it to stop. Pushing stop. There we go. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my previous version that we just saved. Pre-nDynamics. Don't save. Okay. Now you may follow along at this point. So what we'll do is grab all of our bricks. I'm going to slide them up just slightly because that bottom layer was a little bit into the ground plane for me. And with them all selected, should I do a hand check? Should I make sure that everyone's caught up before I continue?
Let me go ahead and. All right, guys. So we've reset over there, and make sure you hit participate if you're following along, and then once you've got everything in place, go ahead and check, and we're good. Everybody's caught up.
Great. Okay. So now we will go to, with all of the bricks selected, we will go to Mesh and Combine. So we basically just combine all of our bricks into one piece of geometry. And we will make that an nCloth. So you can also get to that combine step by going to Polygons, Mesh, Combine. Same thing. Share that with you. Let me go back to my nDynamics. This selected, we'll go to nMesh, create nCloth, and select our floor, nMesh, create passive collider. And someone said, don't forget to save every 20 seconds or you'll be sorry. And I would second that notion.
How is the stability of Nucleus?
In my opinion, very stable for what I've been experiencing in the past couple of years. It's been doing well.
Very cool.
And especially if you happen to be using the subscription, the SAP, SP1 type stuff where they do updates, they're constantly improving it at those steps.
Chris says he doesn't seem to have an nMesh drop down.
Which
you go to nDynamics here, and which version of Maya are you?
And which version of Maya? Yeah.
Because they used to separate Nucleus out with it was only in the unlimited version of Maya back in the day. Now it's with everything. Someone says, "What's that last step?" The last couple of steps I just did was to select everything. All of your bricks. I'll just restate those last steps. Select all of your bricks, and then go to Mesh, Combine, and then after that, with your mesh selected, you would go to nMesh, create nCloth to make that an nCloth, and then the last step that we hadn't done yet was take our floor and make it a passive collider under the nMesh.
And we're good with Chris. He was in the Dynamics menu set. Now he's over on nDynamics.
And now he's in nDynamics. Excellent. Okay. So to contrast our experience, and notice we don't have to, with the Nucleus system, gravity just comes with it. You don't have to add it separately. So I will push play, and let's see what our results are. And I start falling, and...
Oh, we already have more bricks falling than... but wow, that's impressive.
At a much more reasonable pace. Much better.
Wow.
Big difference.
So we all owe Duncan hugs for that.
Yay, Duncan!
He did so well. And I don't know if, hopefully most of you are familiar with the annual event SIGGRAPH. Duncan is someone who gives talks every year at SIGGRAPH, and he basically has about 30. He'll have about 30 Miocene that he'll just drive through in about an hour and show you all the latest and greatest things he's been doing with nCloth. And so that's pretty with nDynamics, excuse me. So that's pretty fun to go see, and that you can go meet him in person. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Someone says mine fall much faster. So part of what your playback maybe have something to do with play every frame.
And then, Mr. Complicated, we know you're just bragging. We know you have a super fast computer.
Very nice, very nice.
Mine fall faster than yours.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Okay, well let's start looking at some of these settings that we have in here with our bricks. So when I select our nCloth shape, one of the things we want it to not stretch and to not have compression because these are bricks. So we'll go ahead and up the stretch resist these attributes by 10. So take stretch resistance to 200, compression resistance to 100, shear resistance to just 1. We'll take care of that. And we can also display with the box that is being used to calculate the collision. So right here in this, we're in the nCloth shape. We have a solver display. And we can go to collision thickness, and you can see how there's a yellow, kind of box that's put around these things. And I always like to shrink it a little bit from where they have it, so they don't have as much space in there as our actual geometry has. So I'll drag it back a little bit, and then I believe self-collision thickness follows right along, has the same setting. You can turn that back off again. And let's just watch it one more time. Wahoo! All right. So what's great is this, because this is it's calculating this as an nCloth. It's kind of like we'll talk about nCloth later today. It's basically like a low resolution nCloth. The way that it's treating, it's letting it be broken up into pieces, letting it separate. So we have a setting down here. So rigidity, just to share with you something that will make your wall stay together. So you could have bricks that have been modeled, but have it tip over kind of as a plane. Is this rigidity will make things stick together as though it were it's because it's coming from the cloth side of things. It's almost like keeping a cloth rigid, keeping it together. So if we just do a small number on rigidity to 0.1, it will drastically change the way that things move and tip over. So it's going to try to stay together. It's going to tip and slip.
Huh.
So that's kind of like a glue between your pieces, if you will. Your rigidity is what that gives you. Okay.
We did have a thing over in BuzzNet real quick. I just wanted to toss out. Vincent was asking about the bricks bouncing. He says that his does, and I believe yours did. With bouncing this at 0, or bounce at 0.
Yes, my bounce is at 0 as well. And I don't have an answer for that, honestly. I believe that because we're treating the wall like we've assigned an nCloth to it, I believe that's where this bounciness comes from. Although we have bounce set to 0. Yes, someone.
And Mr. A, I like what Mr. Complicated said, because that is a good point when using nCloth is this invisible spring system that gets put in there. He says possibly because of the spring effect of the cloth.
Yes, the stretchiness of the cloth, exactly. And I could go glancing inside of our nucleus. Nothing's jumping out at me that would resolve our bounciness issue. We'll let that go. Okay, so we're back to normal. Yeah, good questions, though. Anytime we see something funky, I always like to get good questions. And we will have a funky, we're going to collide this with a sphere in a moment. We will have an odd situation that we have a solution for, so that's good. Well, let's go ahead and rewind our guy, and let's make an old school rigid sphere. and we'll combine it with this just to demo that both systems can work together. So we will create a sphere.
Now, while you're modeling out this amazing sphere, a quick question. For those of you over in BuzzNet and watching this video later, you may recall that it's been quite a few years since I've worked with Maya. So, of course, Nucleus is new for me. Did I read somewhere that Nucleus only works with polygons, not with NURBS?
I believe, yes, that's correct.
Okay, I thought so.
Yes. So this the sphere that we've made, we're going to just animate it passing through our bricks. So I'm going to key it at frame 1, move forward to, say, frame 20, relocate it. Key that again. Let's just see that it's actually animated. Okay. And let's go ahead and let's convert that to an old school rigid body. So we'll go to dynamics with the sphere selected, go to soft and rigid bodies, and get an active rigid body with that. And oh, I think I did. I absolutely did that in backwards order. I should have turned it into a rigid body first before animating it. I apologize. I did that in the wrong order. So once you make it a rigid body, you have to disconnect our connection to the translate positions. So if you select your X, Y, and Z and translate, right-click, and go to break connection, that will remove. It's supposed to remove. Let's try again. We've already done. I actually have a scene I think that's ready to go. If for some reason I'm not able to get that to work on mine, let's try it really fast. Create sphere.
Were you wanting to get rid of the rigid body in that case off of it?
Just on the translate position, correct. So rigid body, and then we select our translate X, Y, and Z, right click, break connection. I literally did this earlier this week, planning for this. Okay. Is anybody else able to get that to work for them? Because this doesn't make sense that that's not working for me. I will open up my scene that I've saved from before.
Yeah, they're posting over there. Yeah, Maya's not going to let you do that.
Weird. I could swear that I've done that. Did that previously. Okay, we can do that otherwise. We can delete, and it's a little bit more complicated to do it this other way, but we will do it. So let's create a fresh sphere.
So out of curiosity, real quick, so you're making this an active rigid body.
Think if I made it passive and animated, it would work.
That's what I'm wondering about. If you had made it passive, and then it's still not going to let you break through.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm being. Oh, this won't even let me key it as well because it's passive now. I'm so sorry that we're getting hung up. So
no worries.
For 5 more seconds.
It happens. Stop. It happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us.
Okay, key selected. So now that we put it on there. Okay, for some reason, when I put a key on it, then it lets me break the connection, and that breaks the connection from rigid body. This is us tricking Maya, I guess. So if you select your sphere and place a key on it, and just key the translation even while the connection is made, and then after you have placed a key on it, right-click and break that connection. It will remove the rigid body transform connection.
Interesting.
So now we're like hacking Maya. That's next quarter's class, hacking Maya.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and key that location, move forward to frame 20, and drag it on through. Go back one frame. Be selected, rewind, and play just to make sure we have it moving through. Okay. I'll set tight since that was a confusing as I was going over that, so I can wait for people to. I would like to make sure that everyone's caught up, or if I need to restate any of that.
Okay, I've reset. So just
I will go ahead and restate.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna
I will repeat it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so if you take your sphere that has been converted into a active rigid body, after you've converted it into an active rigid body, go ahead and put a key on it, just right where it's standing. Select your translates and right-click key selected. Once you have put that key on there, that allows you to break that connection to the rigid body. You can right-click and now break the connection. And now you will be allowed to animate its position. And I can do that I just talked through it. I can do it one more time.
And then for those of you in the class that are following along, the moment you've got that in place and animate it, go ahead and click the ready checkbox.
Yes, that would be great.
And then what we'll do is I'm just going to pause the video real quick. Okay, we resumed the video. Everybody's in good shape. We had some questions come in real quick.
Quick question. Which setting on the bricks did I need to change to make them not fall so quickly at the start? That's one question.
You could adjust your gravity, I guess.
Okay, and the other
or
question.
is your playbacks set correctly? And here. Yeah, I'm set to play every frame. Who's having that problem?
Mr. Jonathan was. Oh, he's talking about when you were holding it together.
They're not holding together so well.
Earlier when you had set the on the bricks to keep them all together.
That was the rigidness of all of the bricks. Is that something I needed?
Yep, that.
I can go ahead and pull that up real quick. So if we go to with the brick selected, if I go to the attribute editor, you can go down here. And this rigidity right here is what kept the bricks together, but it keeps them together like a wall. Not you would have, they don't read in the notes. Sorry. Okay. Does that answer that question?
I think so, because he says,
Okay.
wallow jello. And then Vincent says, Paul, my wall doesn't collapse when the sphere runs through it.
Correct, as mine does not.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. Yeah, a little bit more to do here. Okay, so continuing on.
Okay. Let me go ahead and... Whoa.
No.
Please, no. Well.
And Mr. Complicated asked me to update you with some information. He said, if you put the rigidity to 1, the bounciness goes away.
But it also would fall like a wall and they wouldn't crumble down, correct? Okay. Jason, let's request to pause the recording.
Okay.
Because I am...
Here we go. And we are back. All right, so some technical difficulties with a Maya, Maya lock. Anyways, back to Paul.
Yes, here we go. So apologies for the effort that we went through with hacking our sphere, we're going to do it a different way. So if you want to whack the sphere that you have, let's go about it this way. So we're going to make a new sphere. Pull it up. And this time, instead of going through the rigid body mess that we went through, we're going to create an nCloth.
Okay, which lets me come back with a question then. Can the two systems work together?
Yes, they can. And for some reason, I'm failing at getting that executed right this moment.
Okay.
Yes.
Because, again, since I've never worked with Nucleus, I was like, wow, that's cool that these two different solvers can actually interact.
They work together, but I'm not sure why it's not going right there. Okay.
It's grumpy today.
Yes. Okay. So first step is we've got our sphere. We're going to key its position on frame 1. Key selected. Then we're going to move to frame 20. And we're going to move it. Key it again. And rewind. So now we should just have a sphere passing through. Okay. Now that our sphere is passing through, we will now turn it into the nCloth that we want. And that will throw away our keyframes, but it's actually there. So we will, but how do we go about getting that back again? So we're going to go to select our sphere, go to the attribute editor, go down to something called input mesh attract. So first, let's just watch what happens when we push play. Now that we've, our animated sphere, you can see that you still have your keyframes. It does just collapse down, which is actually kind of cool. Okay, so but what we want, well, first let's make our sphere, let's make it rigid. Will this make it stiff for us? Let's try that. And it will. So you can take your sphere and turn its rigidity up to 1. It needs a more air funny joke. I like that. And now we will go to, I just had the setting up. Let me pull that down. So we have an attribute that is called input mesh attract, and let me just talk us through that. And this is actually what I was trying to avoid, but we'll just dive right into it. In here we have our hypergraph. We have hypergraph hierarchy and hypergraph connections. Let's go to hypergraph connections and just talk a little bit about what's going on here. So in the hypergraph we have, this is our original sphere that we animated, and this is our cloth shape. And so here is our, let me pull this window over a little bit. You can see as I select items in the hypergraph that you can see there all of the attributes in the attribute editor. So this polysphere is just a straight up sphere that that was modeled. This sphere is the sphere that was animated, this polysphere shape. And this cloth item is our, the one that collapsed down to like a flat tire. So what we have is this one that is grayed out, that is the intermediate object, that's the animated item. It is just hidden from us, and we can tell our nCloth to do exactly as our original animated one does by taking this input mesh attract and setting it from 0 to 1. And so if we rewind, it should follow it right along. And there we go. It punches our bricks. They stick to it, which is kind of odd. We have a solution for that, but there we go. So let's do a hands up for who can have their sphere animated, turned into an nCloth, and has the input mesh attract setting set to 1.
Okay, so we've got several students working on it at the moment, so I'll go ahead and pause videos.
That'd be great.
Okay, so we've resumed video, and we're switching over to NATO's screen to give him a hand.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Okay. So we see your screen, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead and hit play. Oh, that's right. Whoa,
Oh.
cool. Do you, so your sphere, one, can you make your sphere rigid?
I love how a sphere's crushed.
It is.
Mm-hmm. So it's already set to 1. Interesting. I've not experienced the bounce back is what I'm curious about. Take me to your wall settings because it seems like the wall has some resistance there to breaking. I don't think this is it, but turn down your compression resistance to 100. Take me down past dynamic properties. Let me look at my own. Let's see. Yeah, I've not seen the bounce back like this. I have not experienced before.
And the animation that you have on your ball is
It's oh, you have some extra forces as well. No. Yeah, show me the keyframes for your sphere. Is your sphere selected? You wouldn't have happened to have so I know one thing that would cause it to act differently is if you have animated the input mesh attraction. If you animate that off, it would kind of like bounce off and act as you've shown, but you wouldn't have keyframed that for any reason. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I'd have to look at that after the fact.
just real quick. I'm curious. Can you show me the your graph editor for the ball, Chris?
Mm.
No,
Not the hypergraph.
the graph, your animation graph editor. You can just up a few. There you go. And we need to get the ball selected though.
Yeah.
Chris is like, no, don't do this to me. So there, right there, second one over, from the right. Your other right. All right. And frame that up for me. And okay, that's what I wanted to see.
I don't see the bounce back animated in.
Nope. That's what I was curious about. Okay, do me a favor, Chris. Save that scene, and I want to get a copy of it. I want to take a look. Now, just as a quick reminder, I've never worked with Nucleus, but this will give me. I love diving into things, so this will give me something to play with. So shoot that over to me if you don't mind via email. That would be awesome. And
Vincent says he has the same problem.
interesting. Okay, and send it over to me now if you don't mind. I'll see if I can play with that on this other screen while Paul works forward. Let's see. Vincent also says, so Paul, sphere rigidity 1 input mesh attract 1 question mark. We'll go ahead and switch back over to your screen, Paul.
Yes, do that. It's over. Show my screen. Is it showing the correct screen?
And yes, it is.
Okay. So the question was, I'm looking for it in BuzzNet. I don't see it. It must be in the.
Oh, it's in the questions panel.
Okay.
And it just says, so Paul, sphere rigidity 1 input mesh.
1
I mean,
question mark.
yeah, input mesh attract
So, yeah,
1. So rigidity 1
correct.
input
That
mesh.
is correct. So yes, sphere. So I'm selecting it. Sphere rigidity set to 1. Input mesh attract 1. Yes, that is correct. Okay. So I will, even though some of you are having an odd situation going on that I'll have to review. Let me continue. Let me continue on with one last step. So we have where the bricks stick to our sphere, and the solution for that is to go. We're going to actually go over to our nucleus tab, and this is this is what drives everything that's happening. And we're going to go down to our sub steps. And so this is how many calculations it does between frames. And I have found that in my last scene, when it was that 3 or smaller, it would bricks would stick to it. But if we jumped up to literally 16 sub steps, that it would also fire these bricks off everywhere, and they would no longer stick. I was at a slightly different scale in the scene, so we'll see. Hopefully that will take Lamo. So once we increase our sub steps, then it's doing enough calculations between frames to no longer keep the bricks sticking.
And we had another question come in from Mr. Complicated.
I see a lot of interpenetration. Is this an inherent problem that comes with the nCloth? I mean, because everything is treated as nCloth nodes.
Sure. So the fix for that is at the very top. When you have your wall selected, there's a under the nCloth shape tab. You switch from the default, I believe was vertex face or edge or something. If you go to full surface, that will eliminate your penetration issues. Okay. Yeah, so those of you that have that similar problem will have to pass on your files, and we'll give them a look. Okay. So that wraps up our doing this brick wall.
So this is probably a good point because it's been really close to an hour, and if people want to go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and then we'll start back up after that.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, and we are now back from break.
Yes, excellent. All right, so that's the end of the wall section. Moving along, we're going to go to talk about in particles and some things that you can do with it easily that you can't do so easily with our old flavor with particles. So the first thing we're going to do is model a sphere, and we're going to delete the top half of the faces. I think you can also tell it to just create a half for you if you care to. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to pull up my model, and to make it look pretty, I'm going to extrude the face and make it like a bowl. Okay. All right. So here we have a bowl, and we would like to pour some cereal into our bowl. Because Jason, without having any sleep, he must be really hungry.
That's right. I'm always really hungry.
He loves cereal.
Okay. So once you get your ball settled, let's go ahead and create an in-particle emitter. So as long as you're in the In Dynamics tab, go to Create in-particles. And a first step before we create the emitter, let's choose whether we want to do points, balls, clouds, thick cloud, or water. And we will choose balls, and go to in-particles, and create emitter. That should drop an emitter down right at 0, 0. We'll pull it up. And when we push play, I'm going to set my frame range to 500 sounds reasonable. And when we push play, it should just emit some spheres, and they just pass right through, just as it should.
Fruity pebbles.
Exactly, fruity pebbles. Very nice. So then we will take our sphere, go to in mesh, and create passive collider. And if we rewind and play again, it just starts filling right up. So let's go ahead and take a hand raise for anybody that's this far along at least.
Okay, go ahead and reset over there. Okay. And so we've got almost everyone with us.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. So once you get your some of these particle spheres coming on in, let's go ahead and select them and go to nSolver. We're going to set our initial. Well, let's do this. We're going to select them, set our initial under nSolver, set our initial state, set from current, which means when we go back to rewind, these, we'll start with some spheres in there already, so that we can really fill it right up. Let's animate our emitter. So I'm going to go to an outliner view. Pull up my outliner. And let's animate this emitter. So we'll start off at frame 1, emitting at 100. That's great. Set key. And let's go to frame 10. Set key, one more frame, and go to set it to 0. We'll let those settle for a minute. And once that's settled, let's do the set initial state again. So just to let you know that you can start with a bowl full of things. So we'll go to with this step accomplished, with your spheres animated off, your balls animated off, go to nSolver initial state, set from current. So now if we rewind back to frame 1, now we have our bowl our bowl mostly full, ready to go. And if we push play, it'll just start to fill it up more. So this used to be hard, filling. I don't know if Jason has ever tried to fill up a bowl with particles or objects in the old system, the old particle system, but it was something that was very challenging. And for us to be able to do it so quickly and easily like this is a treat, is nice. And you can see that they continue to interact as you emit more things on them. It will, if I rewind, push play, even though they're lying here, they're still ready to go as we drop more spheres onto them. Okay, so that is filling up a bowl. One more check if there's any questions about this bowl step. We're going to move on to dropping hail on some geometry, unless there's questions about this step.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to that. If there are any questions, just go ahead and toss them in over on the questions panel, and we'll get back to them in a minute.
Okay. All right, let's go to a new scene. We're going to model a plane. I'm going to hold down X, it'll snap to my grid points. I for shaded, and I want to move this up. And then we'll create just some simple cubes and things down here for items to hit. in a pyramid. Okay. And we don't have to put a ground plane down here for this one. Okay, so hand raise on having a piece of geometry up top and some items down below that we can drop stuff onto. Oh, someone's guessing that it's going to be cloth, but no, we are not there yet. Not doing that part yet. What's Raven's first name?
Vincent?
Vincent.
Vincent.
Or Bob, that's right.
Bob.
Bob. Okay. All right. Hand raise on being this far, or just continue?
Everybody's with us.
Great. So we're going to, we'll keep it at balls, and we're going to say, with our plane selected that's up in the sky, we're going to say emit from object. So now if I'll again set my frame range to 500 and push play. And you'll notice the spheres just come out of the vertices. So we'll go to the particle emitter, excuse me. And so right now it's set to omni emitter, which is fine, which is what we want. And I want to change it to to emit from the surface.
Vincent says his emitter is emitting different kind of particles.
Oh, okay. So you need to have changed before you chose emit from object. You needed to change it to spheres, to balls. Do that step again. So if we go to particle with this selected, particles, create end particles, emit from object. I'll go ahead and pull up the option box. And create. Okay.
He said that worked, and thank you.
So, great. Ooh, stop. Stop. Rewind. Okay.
Someone says, what if you create a NURBS plane and emit from it? Will the while surface emit instead of vertex by default?
I don't know that the NURBS shape will work correctly. Okay, so let's go ahead and add. My goodness. Can we hit pause, Jason?
Yes. Actually, real quick before we hit pause, I just want to point out to everyone that's using Maya 2013 that had the ball going through the bricks issue. If you go to back to where your rigidity is, and Paul, I'd be curious to see if this is available here on yours, just with any nCloth shape node.
Save this.
Or you could just throw another object in real quick, unless it would mess things up if you just made it a quick nCloth, just a polysphere or something.
1 second. Okay. What was your question for me, Jason?
Oh, it's not a question. I was just going to see if this setting was
What I need
available
to
in
do.
2012. Just have take any polygon and just convert it over to an nCloth.
Okay. Yes, you can do. That's what we did with
And
our
then,
sphere earlier.
yeah,
Okay.
and then
Sure. Sorry.
from the nCloth shape node, for those of you that are using 2013, go down to your rigidity, and right up under rigidity, and again, this is in your dynamics properties section, there is a deform resistance. And set that all the way up to maximum value, which is 10. Rewind and play animation. And that has fixed NATO's problem. And yeah, you have it. Yours is at 0, so there is definitely a change. Oh, and Jonathan just said over in BuzzNet that it fixed his as well.
Yay, awesome.
Yay.
So, and then I would...
That stopped the bounce back? Is that what you're talking about?
And bounce back and deformation. Yep.
Great.
So that's all it was. And Jonathan confirmed that, yes, it fixed both of his as well. And I'd like to confirm or just throw out one other thing that I was able to verify, even with that turned up. If you're not playing every single frame, you can still run into the exact looking scenario with deformation and bounce back, even though you're telling it to deform resistance. If I have my deform resistance set to 10 and then say play back at 24 frames a second and hit play, it will still deform and bounce back. So yeah, when working with these dynamic solvers, you must make sure that you're playing back every frame. That's critical. And with the deformation resistance, with those of you that are using Maya 2013, that will fix the animation jump back and the deformation.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jason, for digging around in that. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
That was fabulous. Okay.
Okay, and now back to you guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick.
That was good.
And Mr. Complicated said, just to let you know, it does work with NURBS, back to the conversation you guys had going.
Great. Okay. So here's what we're needing to do. We've got our plane. One moment here. There we go. So we've got our plane, and currently we should be emitting out of the vertices. And we want to take that polyplane and change its emitter type. We can find it to let me pull up our outliner, go to emitter. We have two. Let's get rid of the second one. We have an emitter, and we need to go up to the top and attribute settings and change it from omni to surface emitter. Where are we? Emitter from omni to surface. And then rewind and push play. All right, so now we've got fruity pebbles pouring out of the sky.
That'll be a glorious day.
I can see Jason laying on his back
like
out in the
cloudy
yard.
with meatballs.
That's right. I'd be one
Okay.
happy camper.
Get a little bit more geometry. Okay, let's go ahead and turn all three of these objects into passive colliders. Rewind and push play. We should start to see things bouncing off of them. We're seeing just a few things getting stuck on them. Let me make it something wider. Okay. So we are raining. All right, let's go to our nucleus that's associated with our whole scene. You can select any of your objects. So one thing just to remind you, so when we have this plane that's emitting particles from the surface, we have these rigid bodies, passive rigid bodies that are down here, but they are also all connected. If you choose any of them, they will all have this nucleus in the tab where they all are connected. So if we go to the nucleus on any of these, we're going to the same place. So if I go to the nucleus here and open up the low-res window, we can start messing with things like wind and wind noise. It'll start moving things around, and wind direction. Right now it's in the X direction, so it should start blowing to the screen right. Back out. There you can see it starting to drift. Also, we can select our spheres, and since we were talking about, let's see if we can find that quick. If not, we'll move along. So if we select our sphere, let me show you that in the outliner. I keep saying spheres because I'm ashamed to say the word balls too much. So if we select our N particle, which is the same as our spheres coming down, and in the attribute editor of the N particle shape node, come on down to the shading tab and work your way down to color. So this is where you can see where our color is coming from. And since our idea is that we're dealing with hail, let's just show that we can control our color, and let's turn it to white. So I'll go ahead and just cancel out that blue color, choose this red, and go to white. Okay, and we should now have white spheres. Just showing you that we can tweak our shading there. Okay, and let's go into, I mentioned earlier we don't have to create a ground plane. So within our nucleus, I haven't opened that up. We have a control inside of our nucleus tab that is the ground plane, and we can turn that on and off. Do I need to pause and do a check to see people that are following along or not?
No, we're good. We can keep going.
Okay. We'll just keep on trucking. So if we turn on the ground plane and rewind, we will see that it will start to collect. So our plane origin is 0, 0, 0. It's facing up, no bounce, those kinds of things. If we push play, we should see that we have this ground plane, and the ground plane goes on to infinity. So everything will start to drop. So no matter where they go, they will hit. Okay. Let's go ahead and add some fields. Let's add a field to this setup. So if we go to let's add some turbulence. And look at our turbulence settings. So right now this turbulence is set to 5. We'll leave it at that, and let's just see what we get. So I'm expecting to see some things starting to be rotating, but they're not really rotating. Make sure. Window outliner. Turbulence selected. Solver. Let me just make sure. So one thing, as you add elements, I've spoken about how we have this nucleus that connects everything. If you have added something, you want to see what solver is associated with it, and you can see if you have more than one nucleus in a scene. You can have more than one. You go to nSolver, assign solver, nucleus 1, and it looks like that was we were already assigned there. Let's turn up this magnitude. I'm going to take it up really high just to confirm that it's even having any effect whatsoever. 500. Rewind and push play. And there we go. Now we're starting to see it fall. It almost looks like snow now, the motion that vortex, that turbulence is causing. Okay.
And
let's
Sergio had
going off of a question in there about the lifespan
Yep.
of our spheres. We can right now they're set to live forever, and we can turn them down. It's great. Thank you, Sergio. So if we go to particle shape node, go to the top. So our lifespan settings. So inside of the in particle shape tab, we have a lifespan mode currently set to live forever, and typically I like to use random so that stuff doesn't turn off, disappear at the same time. So we'll say a lifespan, we'll say 25 frames. With the randomness, we'll put 10 on either end of that, sure. And then let's have a look. Okay. So that's just sort of the basics of like having, emitting something that could be hail or changing the motion of it and changing the points to give us something like a snow effect. That sort of wraps up this step.
Sweet.
Talking about emitting from a surface a bunch of particles. Okay. If we could do a pause, let me get set up to talk about how we can use these balls, I'll use the word, to do some liquid simulation.
Very cool. Okay.
All right, we're getting back to it now.
Okay.
So now we're going to fill up. We're going to take a cube, pull off the lid, and we're going to fill this with. Let me switch to wireframe mode. We're going to fill this with some water. So the first thing we're going to do is change our particle type from balls to water, and then with this object selected, which I will move up in space a little bit, we will say in particles, fill object water. Okay? And now if we push play at this point, it will fall right through the bottom. Whee! Which is not what we want.
And just for verifying for anyone who watches this later, so you just took a polygon cube, selected the top face, and deleted it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And in fact, that step is unnecessary.
Okay.
But we did it. Okay. So now with our cube selected, let's make it a passive collider. And then now we will rewind and push play, and we should see our water settle now.
Bloop.
A little bit came through the bottom.
Have a leak.
Now we're settling. Good deal. Okay. So let me do this. Let me create a Lambert, or actually, let me play that again. Let me let it settle for a few hundred frames, and then we will set that as our initial state, so we don't have to have that be animated each time. So then we go to nCache, we do that. Solver, initial state, set from current. Let's try that again. With the water selected, solver, initial state, set from current. Okay, so now when we go back to frame 1, it should be there. Okay. Let me create a quick Lambert with some transparency so that I can throw on this cube. And then with our cube selected, assign this shader to it. So I kind of assumed everybody knows how to do that step that I just did. If you do not, inside of the hypershade, I just created a Lambert shader, slid the transparency down so we could see through it a little bit. I'll, in fact, make it a little bit more see-through, and adjusted the color, and then selected my cube, and you can right-click, assign material to selection. One of 5 ways that you can get that done. So we'll close the hypershade. So we'll let me and switch over to smooth shaded. So now we can see our spheres inside of our cube. Okay, and Well, okay, let's make something float on top of this in our liquid sim that we have here. So let's make a cube that is smallish. And pull it up into our cube where we want to drop it into our water. Okay, scaling her down. Let's go ahead and let me shift over where I can at least have BuzzNet on the background. Anything coming through BuzzNet? I have not been looking at it. Oh, someone crashed. No.
Yeah, but outside of that, nothing's
Okay.
good.
Everything's fine, but we crashed. Okay, with our cube selected, let's go ahead and create nCloth. And we'll go ahead and make that rigid. And notice again, we're not having to add gravity. It should just fall right away. And there it goes. It is interacting. I don't know how well you can see. Whoa, Billy. There we go. So our our cube is floating. Let me stop and rewind and make it a little bigger to make it a little easier to see.
Yes, Vincent, it's nCloth.
Okay. So pushing play here, dropping it in. Blammo. Now
Nice.
it's floating on top. Okay. So with our, oops, got to stop this in order to do anything. Stop. Rewind. Okay, with our cube selected, we can adjust its, we're looking for things like mass. Okay, so we can adjust how far it sinks in. Its buoyancy is determined by its volume and its mass. So the size, the scale does affect how buoyancy it is in the water. So I will, let's take this mass to, let's say 25 and see what happens.
Let's make it a brick.
Mm-hmm. You're going down.
Bonk.
And it just thumped all the way to the bottom. Ooh, let's try that again. Let's try 8. Let's move in a little closer. What we could push play. So now you can see it floating and bouncing around just a little bit. Okay. Let me go ahead and pause here and let's see how people are standing, see how people are doing.
Okay. Okay, we're back, and there was a question about could we make the water deeper? So I wanted to get this on video.
Yes. So to add more fluid, we will start with our box, and we will just tell it to fill it again. I believe that will be the ticket. So we will go to particles, fill object. Is it going to let us do that again? No. So a way that we can add more to it is we could literally just create an emitter. Particles. We're set to water, so we'll create an emitter.
And I want to throw this out there real quick. Since you're on 2012, those that are using, well, we've got one person using 2012 and someone that's using 2013, and they said that it did work for them.
It did fill for them?
Yes.
Okay. Let's try that again. One more time.
And for NATO, it worked as well. So what you were,
fill object,
what you showed was right on. It just,
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
It worked for me the second time. I don't know what I'm sure I did something wrong.
Yeah, there was, Cedro said, I think Paul clicked on emit from object the first time. Gotcha.
Oh, well, that might be fun. I might have things emitting from my cube here in a moment. Okay, so once we have filled the object up again, what we would like to do is go ahead and hit play.
Hey, there it
Oh
is.
yeah, I'm emitting now. Let me undo to get rid of the emitting step. I'll go as fast as I can. So particle fill worked. Okay, undo, create, emitter, keep going. Emit. Okay, I think I just did undo, emit from object. So let's try that again. Particles, create in particles, fill object. Yay. We're rewound, we push play. And we need to let those settle. Oh my goodness. What's happening? Is anybody else floating around like that?
Vincent said that, yeah, that's happening to them as well. Yeah, to everybody.
You know what? It does make sense because I'm sure that we've like jammed water in there where it doesn't fit, and so when we do the fill into a settled water, that it would kind of explode because there's too much pressure there. It's in a space where it shouldn't be. So once we've let it, and likewise, we did the fill object command to add more. We could have used an emitter that would have kept us from having that explosion reaction. So this is relatively settled. I'll hit stop. Well, there's a piece falling down. Let's let that finish. We'll hit stop, and let's go ahead and go to in with this selected. I don't know if I need to select other spheres as well. Look at my. Oh, okay. Well, we'll go to solver initial state set from current, and then rewind and see how we're doing. Push play.
Jonathan wants to know: can you combine two particle systems like the two we have now?
Yes. Is this answering the question?
He says yes.
Whoa. Well, I say yes, but now it's acting strange. Okay. Well, we're having that. I'm surprised that we're having that same explosion because this is one. I mean, it is still one particle system. Because on the nCloth, it's still just one item. Okay, stop, please.
Is it two shape nodes for the particles themselves?
Possibly. Let me give it a look. I can't get my stuff to stop. Stop. Let's get.
Muhammad says, this is because you have several particles are occupying the same space.
Yes, correct. So, particle 1, particle 3. Yes. Particle 2, particle 3. So, okay, well, let's just move along. We're getting stuck. A more ideal way to have this filled up more was at the beginning when we were using the fill object command. We can you can adjust. Let's see if it's in here. The resolution. So let's just do that really quick since we do have a solution for it. So I'm going to select this particle. We're going to delete it. We're going to select our box. I'm going to go to in particles, create in particles, and fill object. We're going to go to the option box, fill object, and set the resolution from 10 to, let's go 40. And hit apply. Hello. Whoa, that's way too many for me. I'm going to undo that step. We're going to undo. 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 Oh my goodness. There we go. So we're going to set it from 10 to 20. We'll just double it. And then we'll hit apply. We'll fill this up. That's a little better. Now we will let this settle like we did before. Push play. We need to let it run out to somewhere around frame 200 or 300. And then we'll set our initial state all over again. Oh, phooey. I'm going to do it one more time. Particles. Create in particles. Fill object. Particle density. Let's try that. Go. And close. And push play. So that density was way too high. So I'm trying, 1.3 to make it more full. Close, push play. Okay, hopefully this will solve our problem of wanting more water. Yay. Okay. So we have to be patient and let it settle. Once it settles, we're going to put our nCloth box that floats, drop it back in there. Then we're going to take our whole cube and we're going to animate moving it from side to side and watch it do some cool sloshing, like we're shaking a fish tank. Okay. And increasing our density definitely has made things move a little bit slower. So I'm going to stop. Stop, escape. Set initials. Solver. Okay, with it selected, we will. I don't know why it keeps playing. Stop playing. In solver, initial state set from current. Okay, we'll rewind. Bring our box over and drop it in. Let's see it float. Okay. All right.
Very cool.
So for our last step with this scene, we need to stop. We'll, wonder if I can, if I choose this square, can we say initial state set from current? Will it be there on frame 1? Yes. Okay, so I'm starting up. So I, just like we did with the sphere setting the initial state, I went ahead and put this box in there, set its initial state as being down in the water. Okay. Now we're going to select our cube. And we're going to keyframe it. We'll just start with it here in place. We're going to do key, translate, and rotate. So I'm going to right click, key selected, back out, and then move. Let's go 10 frames forward. We'll move it over. And let's rotate it a little bit. Let's go -8 with that. And key, translate, and rotate. And let's go 10 more frames to frame 20. Well, let's go halfway. Let's go back to 15. Let's go to 15 actually. Bring it back to the center. Get its rotation back to 0. Key all of translates and rotates again. We'll go to 20. This might be too fast. We'll see. Give it to the left. Rotate a little bit. And Z. We'll go 4 this time. Key them all. And we'll just let it settle there. Okay. Actually, we'll even it out. Let's go to frame 25. And key our rotation back to 0. Deselect it. Okay. Now I'll rewind to 0 and let's watch and see what she does. 1, 2, 3, play. So here you can see the sphere is all pushing over to the left as the motion's forcing it against the wall and then coming back again. Woohoo!
Whoa, that poor cube.
That box went right through. Uh-huh. So there's a pretty violent shake that we've done. Let's see what will settle. Whoa.
Wow.
Somehow our cube has stayed within the container. Magically.
Yeah, impressive.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this communicates, what we can, that you can slosh it around.
Yeah, for sure.
And make a big mess.
Yes, for sure. All right. While we're letting this settle, question for you, Jason. We're a little past time, but I know we also had some dead time during this class period. I could cover nCloth stuff briefly, or do we need to wrap it up? You tell me.
I think we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up. We're right at 3 o'clock now, looking at the clock. Mm-hmm. But let's give just a second if anybody has any questions that they want to throw into the questions panel. Let's go ahead and do it.
I'm watching.
Yeah, good question. Asking Mr. Complicated, can he run this in real time?
Yeah, really. I mean,
that would be sweet.
It was you, Mr. Complicated, bragging about your machine earlier.
Super PC. Or
Wait for it, guys. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
The awesomeness is on the way.
Are we going to take over a screen so we can see it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's take a screen. And let's see one
Let's
second.
let him show off his supercomputer.
Boom. An Amiga 500. Hey, I've got one of those up in the attic, Vincent. Just letting you know. I loved
Nice.
my Amiga.
The video toaster.
That's right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, how you
Yes.
doing?
Awesome. How you doing, guys?
Doing pretty good.
I'm cool. I've actually filled it with a couple types of particles, but right now I would like actually to fill it in like Paul did. So I will fill it even with more particles. So yeah.
Okay.
So I get you all guys jealous and everything. So this is recorded?
It's recorded.
Yeah. So my embarrassing is gonna be international, which is kind of cool. So yeah. How did we do that?
Yeah, so go to the option box of the fill object.
Yeah, that's the one. And I'm gonna put the resolution to, how much did you put?
20.
All right. Any other settings?
I increased the density, but let's try it just like that.
Oh, all right. Fill particle. Okay. So let me give it. Yeah.
We'll let it settle. Nice. Yes.
Well,
yes,
actually,
it's
actually,
fast.
me streaming to you made it even slower than it was, by the way. But
Sure it did.
Oh, you get it? But trust me, this one is this little baby is a beast. Don't worry about that.
Oh, I
So,
believe
okay.
you.
Let me.
You
All
can
right, I
stop.
believe it's settled down, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So let me go to nsolver initial state and from current, right?
Correct.
All right, and let us try to animate this little guy. So let me collapse this thing and Control A. So I will just grab it. Key. Select it. Move it to one side. Probably rotate it a little bit like so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, I forgot actually to move the key. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, 10. Okay. Move the damn thing. Rotate it. Sorry. I haven't had enough sleep like you, Jason.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Trust me, man, it's
already,
good.
I'm already floating like the water which you have in there, in my scene at least. And everything is so bouncy currently. And I will go back out. No, hang on. Now I'll go back to a couple frames, like here, let's say 20.
Right.
And I'll just push it right there. And no, hang on. Let me just, be easy, gentle with it. And key that. And is that enough?
Yes.
That's pretty extreme. So
All right,
let's see what it does.
Let's. Please don't fail me. Please.
We should try it like this, and then we might want to spread out your keyframes and let it take a little longer too, and see how it does.
Yeah. Yep. It would have done it, in real time without you guys being streaming it, I I ended up.
Oh wow! I just checked them.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
actually.
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. Actually, it was. Let us actually spread out the keyframes.
Yeah,
so
do that.
I will select this guy and move him forward. Select this guy and move him here. So we are good to go.
Excellent.
And yeah, I have actually 3 Google Chrome sessions opened and other guys. Okay, don't worry. I will let. Yeah. I see Raven is like.
Raven's
But
giving
come
it
on,
a
I
time.
swear it was faster. I mean, you guys are capturing my screen right now. Somehow it's like.
I'll
But
help. I'll
anyway.
help you out, Mohammed. You're also running at a much higher resolution as well than
Yeah.
what we normally do. So your machine is definitely cranking along to get all this basically captured, compressed, and streamed to us.
Thank you very
You're
much,
welcome,
Jason, for
sir.
helping me out. Yeah. But hey, I mean, yeah, I cannot prove it anyway. I mean, if I cannot prove it, it's gonna happen in real time anyway because you have to see it live. But yeah, there you go.
So yeah, but you get pretty much real time or close to real time when you're not having to stream.
Um, Mostly yeah.
Oh, that's
Most of the
impressive.
time, yeah. Almost like so.
Oh,
But
look
it's
at us,
really
That
nice.
is great.
Awesome. Okay, very
How
cool.
cool is that?
Well, we'll go ahead and switch back over here. Thank you very much, sir.
No
Yes.
problems. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. And here it comes, Paul.
Okay. And now, if we're going to wrap it up, I can just comment on what the homework assignment is that I'll be giving you
That would be
guys.
great, and
Sounds
then
good.
we can get NATO and Nina to make sure all that gets put together and into the form.
Excellent, excellent. So there will be it's like some 30 to 40 page PDF document and a Maya scene that's already been modeled and textured for you to animate molten slag. So there's like slag coming down where you've created these balls that we animate that will come down a chute, and then they're emitting sparks, emitting smoke, all this stuff. It's a lot of fun to do. I've had several classes of my other students at the university here in town that I teach at do this tutorial, and they love it. And it's something that they all add to their demo reel when they take the time to render it out in passes and all that stuff.
Oh, very cool.
So, yep. I will be shooting that over to Nina.
Okay,
Okay.
I will be waiting for it.
Outstanding.
Excellent.
Well, Paul, thank you very much, sir, for today.
Yeah.
And guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us as well. And we will go ahead and conclude this class. And we will see you guys next week. Again, you'll have the homework up here in just a little bit. And you'll also have the video up as well. And again, you can find links to those inside the course calendar once everything is live at the today's date, of course. And like Vincent just said, don't forget, tomorrow night we are doing a live radio show at 7 p.m. our time, so 7 p.m. Central Time. And we're GMT -6, if that helps. And we'll be talking about some of the things that we have coming up soon. So you guys all take care. Thank you again, and we are out of here. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.